Welcome to the Ride and Inspire Rawcast episode 1. Why is it called a Rawcast? Well, there are little to no cuts, it's raw, and it's unfiltered me sharing ideas, and I'm outside on my creativity walk. I'll be commenting common beliefs, busting myths, and contributing to inspire a more meaningful life on your ride through life, but also on your ride on your bike. So maybe this podcast will go way beyond mountain biking. Well, actually, I'm pretty sure it will. I'm Roxy, and the topic of today, of my first episode, is crashing part of the game of mountain biking? And maybe you heard this, and some people have said this to you: when you're not crashing, you're not learning. Is this really the case? So in my opinion, everything in life is connected to one another. The way you ride your bike is connected to the way we go through life, and the fears we develop on the bike are also very much in relation to the fears we develop in life, and the way we face obstacles on a bike can also inspire us to face obstacles in life a specific way. And that's also why my channel is called Ride and Inspire, because I interrelate riding a bike with how we can ride through life more courageously and confidently. So I've been a full-time mountain bike skills coach, a graduate mental trainer, and also a psychological counselor for many years. And it's my passion to work with riders of all levels on a much deeper level than they sometimes expect at first. And I guide them to let go of their fears, to crush their goals, and to ride trails and features they have always wanted to ride. And you may have already heard this, or maybe you actually said it, that you've said crashing is part of the game of mountain biking, and when you're not crashing, then you're not learning. And my answer to this is no. No. I do not believe that crashing needs to be part of the game, and honestly, I have learned a lot, and I hardly ever crash. In my personal career, and that's over 13 years of full-time riding, I've had one serious crash and 2 mini crashes. And since I am now today one of the leading coaches of the world, training all levels of riders, even pro riders and other instructors, now riding much more difficult trails than when I started, I can pretty confidently say that no, you do not need to be crashing to keep evolving. At least that's true for the type of mountain biking a lot of people refer to as mountain biking, and also what I refer to as mountain biking. So this actually brings me to the first question. What kind of mountain biker are you? What is mountain biking for you? Because if your mountain biking is about learning hard tricks, about slope style riding, about BMX style riding, similar to what skateboarding is, just on a bike, well then yes, crashing will be part of the game because you're learning risky tricks and experimenting a lot to learn them. However, if for you, mountain biking is what it is for me, like riding in nature, immersing yourself in nature, relaxing, while at the same time challenging yourself to evolve and progress, and maybe even about letting go of thoughts and just relaxing the mind, having fun, just being in nature with friends and your bike, obviously, then crashing does not need to be part of the game. Of course, development does take place outside of the comfort zone, and I'm sure you've heard this before, and there is some truth to this. Actually, there's a lot of truth to this, but it doesn't mean that you need to go way into your panic zone to evolve. And it doesn't mean you need to be pushing yourself way beyond your level in dangerous situations to evolve. There is actually a fine line between pushing your limits and, just downright charging at your limits and ignoring them all along. But many people miss this fine line. Lately, our society has been ignoring the natural pace of the world, and everything needs to go faster, and we're looking for quick fixes and shortcuts everywhere. And applied to mountain biking, this means that riders call themselves beginners for a few rides and then immediately graduate to intermediate and start riding black trails like literally months or even weeks after they started. And it shocks me when I'm out in trail parks or bike parks coaching. I'm serious. like 80% or more of the riders are the passenger of their bike. Their bike is riding them. It's really shocking to see how few riders really have fundamental riding skills and how many riders are clearly fearful while riding. And how many riders crash on a regular basis and seriously promote this riding style by saying things like, when you're not crashing, you're not learning. And let me tell you, it is not true. Because, and I like to delve into a little science with this, learning skills, motor skills, as in learning new movement patterns, does not take place in a performance zone. In other words, it does not take place in an environment that is high stakes, because learning new movement patterns takes place in a learning zone. A learning zone is an environment where there are no real consequences for mistakes. And why is this the case? Because it's just how our brain works. It's neuroscience, and like it or not, this is how your brain, my brain, your brain, our brain, will form new neural pathways, which then lead to new movement patterns. So learning new movement patterns means that we need to train our procedural memory. This is the part of our memory that is trained by repeating specific movement patterns over and over again in an environment where we actually have the capacity to concentrate on these movements performed. Then we need to give ourselves feedbacks, or we need to get feedback. Then we need to correct movement mistakes. Then we need to repeat these new movements. Then we will form new movement habits. And then they can be performed in automaticity, i.e. they can be performed on autopilot. And that's how toddlers learn to walk. That's how we all learn to write, and that's how people learn to play an instrument, and that's how we learn to ride a mountain bike safely. So this procedural memory actually, and these movement patterns, can then run in the background. So we don't need to focus on them anymore. And only then we can apply these skills to a so-called performance zone, i.e. to technical trails. But with mountain biking, people think this needs to be much faster, or that magically we can just learn these patterns in a single day skills clinic, or like a week of coaching, or just by riding trails. And sorry, but that is the perfect recipe for frustration and crashes. There are no shortcuts. Learning to ride your mountain bike skillfully will take time. And trying to override this natural process, this process actually nature intended, and trying to override the way our bodies and minds naturally flow will cause inevitable crashes. So another reason why many people crash too often, because the first reason is what I just explained, that people ride too technical trails too easy and believe that they can just ride trails to learn, and that's not true. That's reason number one. And now comes reason number two, why many people crash too often. And that is that I see them ride in an environment where everyone pushes each other too far. Okay, look, motivating one another is great, but only if you know and respect your limits. We humans, we want to be accepted, we want to get attention, we want to fit in. It's our nature. But there is a saying, and that is environment trumps willpower. And that means that even if we're a strong person, our willpower will always give way to our environment. So if we're riding with better riders, or more courageous riders, or just physically stronger riders, like it is often the case with women when they ride with mostly male riders, then we may allow this environment to push us beyond our limits in an unhealthy way. So my tip today is choose your environment wisely. If you feel like the environment you're in is not doing you well, then be wise to look for an environment where you are great the way you are. Be brave to accept your limits and choose an environment that will accept you for doing so. Because knowing and accepting yourself is the bravest thing you can do. Saying no to dangerous situations is actually not cowardice, it's bravery. The bravest thing you can do to be the bravest thing you can do is to be yourself. Because to be yourself is never cowardice. It's pure bravery. And to say no to things that scare you also means that you're saying yes to yourself, yes to self-respect. To be nobody but yourself in this world, where a lot of our industry is giving its best to make you everybody, is super brave. Let me just repeat that because it's such a game changer. To be nobody but yourself in this world, where a lot of our industry is giving its best to make you everybody, is super brave. So just be brave to say no, and I can almost guarantee that you will start to crash less. Because crashing is not a part of the game of mountain biking. At least it doesn't have to be. For us adults, when mountain biking is about unwinding, about fun, and about enjoying nature. Most of us are not World Cup racers. Most of us are not out there earning our money with racing bikes or learning some really amazing tricks. Most of us are out there to enjoy nature. So if for you it is about enjoying, then look for an environment that will support you in this and work your way up step by step. Allow yourself, your body, and the brain the time they actually need to learn skills. And do this by practicing in a structured manner in a safe learning environment. If you'd like to follow my proven drills to reach your goals faster, then I'd love to work with you. Just check the show notes. I hope this episode brought you value. Do let me know over social media. I'm sending you my appreciation and very much gratitude for spending your time with me. I'm Roxy. Goodbye. Hope to see you again for the next episode.